My name is Carolyn Spencer. I am a parent of 3 and a grandparent of 4. I have been in Sonoma County as long as I've been alive. I was born and raised here. I became involved with Sonoma CAN's services almost as far as I can remember. We utilized the deposit assistance in my early 20s, and then when I was pregnant with my 3rd, we utilized the temporary housing the housing programs called Earl Street. At that point, I received a voucher through that program and was able to move out and eventually self-sustain myself and my family. I grew up in a domestic violent environment with my mother's partners. They were very physically, emotionally, verbally, and financially abusive. So that did lead to some paths of addiction in my past. With the assistance of Sonoma CAN's services, I was able to get my life back on track with the voucher that I mentioned previously. I then moved us to an apartment, began obtaining employment, which was a very long road, but eventually led me here to where I am today, a paralegal working for a law firm that specializes in insurance, bad faith, and disability cases. The domestic violence from my childhood impacted my life and that of my kids, exposing them to the same cycles of abuse that I had been exposed to. In 2019, my family and I were removed from California with the assistance of a domestic violence agency out of the Bay Area. COVID hit in 2020, so we came home. Once my family and I moved back from Colorado, we got settled in Roanoke Park, California, and there was a stabbing at Montgomery High School. At that point, I started attending town hall meetings and wanted to become invested in protecting our youth, specifically our minority communities, our Black and brown communities. During my advocacy at these meetings, I met Cynthia King, who started chatting with me and asked if I would be interested in joining or attending a board of directors meeting. She had no idea or no way of knowing that I had had the experience of utilizing Sonoma CAN's services in the past, so it really felt full circle. Throughout my years of living in Sonoma County, my family has utilized various services through Sonoma CAN, such as Head Start for my older children. I have utilized the deposit and the security deposit resource that's available through Sonoma CAN, as well as the transitional living program, the Earl Street homes are some services that my family and I have utilized, which have contributed to where we are today. I will expand on the housing assistance, as I was just recently able to transfer my voucher that I obtained through Sonoma CAN back in 2006, that I just transferred that to one of my children just last year. So finding out that your housing voucher is an equitable resource, asset, was pretty cool. And the ability to transfer that to my child to enable them to be able to have an equal start and not fall into an unsheltered or addiction lifestyle is a blessing. So throughout our years in Sonoma County, our family has utilized various programs and services that Sonoma CAN offers. We have utilized the Head Start program, the Deposit Assistance program, and we resided in the Earl Street Transitional Housing and went through their program and obtained a Section 8 voucher which allowed us to move out and continue growing and thriving. Well, the first service that I want to talk about is the security deposit reimbursement. Without that service, we wouldn't have had the apartment. We definitely would have been unsheltered, and I could not even imagine where we would be without that service. So that was amazing, and the first time that a program had actually come through for me in my life. The Earl Street, I'm going out of order because I want to save Head Start for last. I have a special story. So the Earl Street transitional housing was pivotal. That was pivotal for my family. Through that program, it's a 2-year program, hopefully, I don't know if this is still the case, but back then, you were eligible to receive a Section 8 voucher. I did end up receiving a voucher, I want to say just over a year being in the program, and was able to move out and really be successful and feel like a thriving family, specifically because of that. Head Start. So the Head Start, I wanted to save that for last. My son absolutely loved Head Start. There was a teacher by the name of Maria who he really created and formed a strong bond with. And although he was only there for a year and a half, fast forward to when my family and I moved back to Sonoma County, I ran into her at Howarth Park, and she remembered my son. And that for me was very special and says a lot about how dedicated the teachers at Head Start really are and how much they care about our youth. They think about them, they remember them. It had been almost 15 years, and for her to remember him was pretty special. Also, our new Head Start director, Manisha Gupta, was a child care provider for my middle child at a different facility, and I ended up meeting Manisha at the board meeting where I was elected to be president, and she remembered my child from 17 years ago. There are amazing people within the Head Start program, within the Sonoma CAN program. I'm very grateful to be a part of it. Well, talk about imposter syndrome. Sonoma CAN really has believed in me more than I've believed in myself at a lot of points in my life, including being the president of the board of directors, and that's just honest. The support that I get from Sonoma CAN is literally what drives me to be able to be who I am in the position that I am now in, and also who I am as a person. Having experienced some of the many services that Sonoma CAN offers, I feel that I am able to relate to the communities that we serve on a deeper level. There's an understanding of the actual needs, of how expensive it is to be under the poverty line, of how expensive it is to be poor, if you can understand that, and what the actual needs are, and how it can be humiliating sometimes, in other situations, how Sonoma CAN lets you keep your dignity and respect while receiving the services that are needed in order to be successful in our own lives. It's important for people of all areas to contribute to our community, to show our children that there are other opportunities out there, that they are not boxed into whatever they see in front of them or whatever their childhood limitations put on them. It is important to be a role model. It is important to give that exposure. For me, I want to expose as many children in our lower income communities as possible to the world, to what they can achieve, to what they can dream to be. And we can't do that unless we actively show them in our daily life that it is possible. that's what's exciting about being in this position and getting to speak from my experience and my point of view, and giving a little bit of light from my experiences to those who may have never had to experience poverty, domestic violence, going to bed hungry, not knowing where you're going to live, sleep, if you're going to be safe. Yeah, ideally, it would be great to see every community uplifted to, an equal status so that all children and families can enjoy what every other family enjoys. And that's the ultimate goal. Until we get there, I would like to see more children being lifted up, more families being lifted up. I'd like to see more ways that we can impact our communities, and I'd like to hear back from the communities. What do you need? That's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see feedback so that we can more accurately tailor our programs and services to the actual needs of our communities. I think the reason that I'm here and I'm so invested is because Sonoma CAN has a whole family approach. Prior to joining the board, and maybe that's why Cynthia asked me to join the board in the first place, at a VPP meeting, I spoke on the needs of supporting the entire family. I don't believe that you can just support the children and make a successful impact on the community. I believe that we need to support the entire family. You can support a child in school, but when they go home, if there's still no food to eat, then that's not a whole family approach. So supporting the whole family is what drove me here. Supporting the whole family is something that is in line with my personal beliefs, and I honestly feel that by supporting the whole family, you can make direct change in these communities, in our communities.